I want to win trophies, says Ange Postecoglou in his first presser. Welcome to the reaction. Hi guys, hope you're doing well and welcome to the aftermath of the first presser, which is box office, I have to say. Hope you guys are doing well. We got loads to talk about. I'll talk you through exactly what Ange Postecoglou had to say. I gotta say, I've been very impressed with what he said. So make sure you've hit the like, make sure you've subscribed as well if you are new. Your opening smash scared me, Wolfie. Sorry, bro. Anyway, let's get into it. So Ange has conducted his first presser officially as the Forest manager. It was a main event, to say the least. There was plenty of press there, the usual ones from England, but as far as Australia, they got to ask him everything. And I'm going to take you through some of the key highlights here. So it opened up with him being asked about how he's feeling. He did give a bit of the general spiel, as you would expect, in terms of, is that button not working? There we go. In terms of, this club is very historic. He's really excited to be here. All the right things being said on that. But what was interesting was they jumped straight into the timing. And they asked him, when did this start to happen? When did you start to get wind of Forest? And he said basically over the weekend, it started to get a bit serious on Sunday, and then it really picked up the pace on Monday as well, which I think is fascinating because that lets us know that all these conspiracies that have been going around about were these players bought in for Ange, were they looking at Ange Ball specifically? I don't think it's true. I don't see a reason for him to be lying. He was actually celebrating his 60th birthday as well that weekend. So it doesn't seem like things were on the card, but he was getting an inkling that it was going to happen. So that's fascinating in itself. Poison Soup saying, afternoon, Wolfie, I still hate this. I don't lie to you guys. I'm fully on board with the Ange train. I'll say this. Like in one presser, he's given more information out than Nuno did in all his pressers. So I actually like his approach in pressers. He is probably the best speaker in a press conference apart from Jose Mourinho, in my opinion. I don't know what you guys think. And he's our manager now. I'm fully behind it right now until I'm not. That's my stance on it. That's my stance on it. And I like the way he talks. I like the way he articulates himself. So look, that was the opening part of it. They asked him about, the platform he's taken over from, and what did he think of it? So he paid due respect to not only Nuno, but to Cooper as well. And he said basically they've built a good system here, surviving relegation, getting to Europe, etc., etc. Exactly, Mike. I've never doubted him either. So, but the thing I think that's important that we need to talk about is what he said about the style of play. So that came up quite early in the press conference, and they basically said, are you going gun-ho? I love the comment about him having to win some second year. We'll come on to that, Jay. We'll come on to that. So what he said that every manager plays in a different style, and he's right about that. He said that, he hasn't had a preseason, and the change of style he thinks will be gradual. And I think that gradual word is one of the most important words we have to take out of it. So potentially that may mean that come Arsenal this weekend, we're not going to see Highline for Life, Ange football, etc., etc. He is very well aware of the criticisms that have been posted against him in terms of over-attacking, too gun-ho, and everything like that. Okay, so he said it's going to be a gradual change in terms of his style. Now, is that him just saying it? Has he started to implement it in with the boys? Well, what we do know, and he has confirmed, is that he's had 2 training sessions. He's had one where the international players were not there, and then the one today, he had all the players back. So he also said about fitness, and this is what I like about him. He's usually quite open and honest about who's available or not. Einar is definitely out. They're assessing him. Probably a hamstring from what we heard, and the other player who's not available is Zinchenko, because obviously he's eligible for this game as Arsenal own him. So those are the two players. He said, apart from that, the rest of the squad is pretty much available to him. So he's got plenty to pick from. So I think we may see now what we can gather that from that is that Savano will be fit. We know he came to Forest coming towards the end of his recovery from his injury. So that's important to point out as well. So that's what he was saying about the injuries. Now, what I found most fascinating was when he talked about the relationship with Marinakis. We've all had, including myself, this preconceived notion that him and Marinakis are boys, man. They go out clubbing together, they go out to the races together, and all of that. This was the most shocking revelation for me, that he said that him and Marinakis have only met 3 or 4 times in the past, that they ain't boys like that. That he met him a couple of years ago when he was out in Greece when Cooper was in charge. That's where we've seen those pictures of, you know, them around the pool and what have you. So and then he said a couple of times after that, he talked about the award that Marinakis presented to him, being the first Greek heritage man who's won a European trophy. He was very proud of that, and he was very humbled by the fact that Marinakis gave it to him. So I found that fascinating to hear, because my pre-perceived perception of it was that they were boys. They were boys. I don't know how you guys feel about that one. Nuno could have easily stayed if he wanted to. Just days ago, Marinakis was okay with him. Olympiacos had 3 managers in the season. They won the Conference League. Exactly. I reckon we'll find something a little. What was I saying here? I reckon we will find something a little in between Nuno and high lines. Maybe Murillo will play with a high line than Milenkovic. I think that might be the way. Milenkovic almost plays as a sweeper. You can't implement strategy after 2 training sessions and half the squad away. I do agree with you, DJ. I do agree with you on that, mate. Big up Wolfie, my 7th favorite. I made it into the top 10. I'm very proud of myself. Shout out to you. Okay, so that was the Marinakis stuff. Now, then they jumped straight into the trophy stuff, which was expected. The whole, factually, I always win a trophy in my 2nd season. And they said to him, when can you win trophies? Basically inferring the whole 2nd season thing. And he goes, I want to win trophies. That's what I've done my whole career. His ambitions at Forest and his expectations of himself, not necessarily the clubs, but I assume the club would have the same expectations, is that he is here to win trophies. And I think this is the right phase for Forest to start winning trophies. We've got ourselves promoted. We survived relegation. We established ourselves in the Premier League. We've now got into Europe. The natural next progression is to look at seriously winning trophies. So I like that about him. What I like then he talked about Marinakis, calling him the president. I love that. And he said that he backs up his ambitions in terms of Marinakis with actions. And that for me is a huge, huge thing to say, because it's true. He's also acknowledged the fact of what Marinakis is doing at Forest. And he says the ambition, we are keen to move the club, he said, to a club where we can win things. Like, I'm ready for the trophies. I'm ready for the trophies. Big up, Jolly Ollie. Hope you're well, buddy. CJ is saying, I'm right behind Ange. Just quickly right now, after his presser and what I'm going through here, for those of you who haven't seen it, are you Ange in now or Ange out? Just write in or out. I can't bother to do a poll, but just put it in the chat. I just want to get a rough feel of where you guys are. We got well over 300 in here. Shout out to you guys. But we're sitting on 67 likes. You guys can do better than that. Make sure you've hit the like button if you haven't already. Yeah, and he does mention that, CJ. He does mention that. Actually, we got a poll here. Will Ange win a trophy at Forest? 64% of you are saying yes as well. Okay, in, out. Okay, it's a little mix. Poison, Mr. Negative there. Out, in. In. Okay, it feels more in than out at the moment. It feels more in than out. Interesting. I'm with Ange. Look, I would say to all of you who are Ange out already, and that does include Amp, by the way. It's your prerogative. Do what you want. But this is what I agree with what Josh says. The man hasn't even kicked a ball. I mean, technically, he's not going to kick a ball, but you know what I'm saying. we got to go in this with an open mind. There's a lot of preconceived ideas that we're getting from Spurs fans as well. Now, what I'm going to do tonight about 5:30, make sure you tuned in. I got some of my Spurs mates. Well, they're Spurs, so I can't call them mates. Let's call them acquaintances coming on to tell us their thoughts on Ange, to give you guys a real good insight into Ange. Now, we will have to take it from the paradigm of that they're looking at it from, which is obviously through Spurs lenses. But I think it's important to let you guys know how the Spurs fans feel about him. So I'm bringing on someone who is most definitely Ange out, someone a bit more neutral, and someone who is still Ange in. So make sure you tune in for that one. Okay, let's crack on with, because there's so much said in this presser. Get those likes up, guys. Get those likes up. So moving on next, he was asked about the squad and his kind of general assessment of the squad. And he says, so they said to him, what does he think of the squad? He goes that he knows it's a challenge to play in Europe, but he really likes the squad. He believes there is a balance there and there is cover in most positions. And this is where he said he's only had 2 days with the players, and today was the first time with the whole squad. Freaking flip-flopper, and you absolute flip-flopper, bro. Honestly, I can't deal with you right now. I can't deal with you. I'll take a drinks break there while I soak up Ant's comments. So I think his assessment of the squad is exactly my assessment of the squad. I say we're light at fullback still. I think we need one more, and I think we needed another 6. But outside of that, it's been a very, very good window. And then he was asked, has he conversed with the players and kind of got them to understand what's going on? He said, and this was a bit weird, he goes, he let the players kind of deal with the changes themselves. Like, I think what he was saying there is these are men and you know, young men that are mature enough and professional enough to understand this is the world of football. He didn't say this is kind of my understanding of it, that managers are in and out. It happens in football. And what I liked about what he said the first conversation he had with them was, boys, we got a game on Saturday. And I love that. I love that. That one sentence there, boys, we got a game on Saturday, means basically whatever's gone on off the field, it's not your concern. It's happened. Deal with it. Whatever you think of me, you like me, love me, hate me, it's happened. What's the focus? Arsenal on Saturday. And in one sentence, that summarizes exactly the message that he needed to get across to them. I absolutely love that sentence from him. Rav says, I followed Ange since his Brisbane Roar days. I tried really hard to like Spurs, but their fan base is so toxic. Honestly, Wolfie, you've been awesome in comparison to We Are Tottenham TV. Bro, that's because we are football heritage, bro. We've got the European trophies. Like, can you believe that a team is that arrogant as Spurs for their factually most successful manager in the last 40 years, and they treated him like absolute crap? He's in the right place, as are you, Rav. As are you. Big up to you. Big up my boy Jamie. I'll be seeing you at 4 o'clock. Hope you're well. So yeah, look, Ange talks a lot, and I like that. I like that. But that sentence, I just found it so cold, man. It was like, lads, we got a game on Saturday. Love that. Love that from what he said there. First conversation we have with that. And they said to him, is it fitting because it's Arsenal? And they were trying to bring the whole Spurs narrative into it and everything else. And he was like, it's what it is. It is what it is, mate. And every fixture is challenging. And he's right. He's right. Doesn't matter if it's Arsenal. Doesn't matter if it's Burnley or whatever. These games have to be played. Have to be played. Okay. So then he's about the injuries, which I've already told you about. Let me just check my notes here. I had to make notes like crazy. Oh, this is what was very humble of him. I really like this bit as well. He said a lot of stuff I like today. He was asked, how do you build on last year? In terms of the relationship with Forest and the fans, because what the person who's asking the question was saying was Forest had a good connection with Nuno, had a good connection with Cooper in terms of a fan base and a club. Now, what he said, he goes, they probably won't like me on my first day. I have to earn it. And that for me is, again, it was just another one-line sentence where it was beautiful. because he's not come in and said, well, I'm the current Europa League champion. I'm coming here with prestige and pedigree. He's saying, no, let me start from the assumption that they don't want me here, and then I will earn it from them. I like that. I like that attitude, not just in football, but in life. I think that's a fantastic line from Ange. And then they asked him, who is Ange? Tell us about yourself. And he said, what you see is what you get. He tries to be himself. He's a very passionate guy. And he always wants to feel like he'll be welcomed back to any club once he's left it because of the impression he's left in that club or his achievements in that club. And, you know, if you met him on the street, he'd be exactly as he is sitting behind the microphone on the presser. So, look, this guy has won me over. This guy has completely won me over. I love the way he talks. I knew as soon as that silver tongue got going, I'd be sold. I need to now see what happens on the pitch, of course. But his presser is fantastic. Then they got on to the bit about how he describes his football. And this is where he was a little tentative. He said that I have to be careful in what I say because people take things the wrong way. What's he referring to there? When people are talking about high line for life, gun-ho football, attacking football this, attacking football that. And he said, I like exciting football and scoring goals. He goes, this is what gets fans excited. He goes, I want to dominate the ball. I want to score goals. But more importantly, I want to win games. And that is what I want as a fan. I know that's what Ant wants as a fan, even though he's a hypocrite and is Ange out right now. But this is what I want to see. Look, in an ideal world, football is a case of, in a real world, football is win and then let's worry about how we got the win. But if you can add exciting football, dominating football, plenty of goals and everything like that, and get the wins, then you are on for the formula that is going to be most entertaining. And at the end of the day, we always win. But at the end of the day, we are here to be entertained. We are here to be entertained, which is, you know, part of the attraction of what Ange wants to do. So that's what he said on that. Then they started again on the whole trophy in the second season thing. And he goes, and he corrected them. He goes, no, I've always won trophies in my second season. But I've also won trophies in my first season. And he made a reference to the trophies he won at Celtic. So, and I like that because this whole second season trophy factual thing can be perceived as a cop-out. Like, all right, give me a year, let me settle myself in, and then I'll kick the can down the road to the next year. And he kind of made an inference to say that, you know, I don't even know if I'm going to be here in the second year because it depends what I do in the first year. So by bringing up the fact that he's won trophies in his first year, he's adding pressure to himself to say, well, second year is the second year. Let's worry about that when we get to it. But the first year, we can win trophies as well. And it's something that I want to push for. So that's what he said on that. And then they asked him about Cloughy, and this is where he was fully respectful. They said to him, what is his thoughts on Cloughy and kind of where does he sit with the whole Clough thing? And his words were beautiful as well. He goes, I will never be compared to Clough. Clough is special. Clough is in his own category. He goes, I will never be compared to Clough. He didn't say, I want to try and emulate achievements that Cloughy has done at Forest. He says, I will never be compared to Clough. This is a man who's extremely humble and extremely respectful to the history of our club and to the history of the great man as well. This is exactly what you want to hear from him. You know, you could understand someone who's coming with an ego. Let's just say Mourinho comes in or whatever. He would be like, I don't know. I'm just saying Mourinho's name, but if he came in, you could that kind of personality may say, I respect what Cloughy has done, and I'm hoping to emulate what he's done. No, I'm just saying Cloughy is here, and no one will ever get even to here in comparison with Cloughy. So I really, really like that about him. Exactly, John. Ange has always been honest and straight talking. So what I will say, though, is I expected a bit more smiles and things from him coming into the job, but he was quite serious throughout the whole. He did crack the odd joke here and there. So anyway, so that's what he said about Cloughy. And then when they asked him again, what was the message for the supporters? Yeah, that one kind of, I'm not gonna lie, sent shivers down my spine. I was like, this man is saying the right things, Cloughy is a giant. Every football historian knows that. Yeah, but there is, what I'm talking about here, Johnny, is the respect and the lack of ego when talking about Cloughy was really good to see. Really good to see. Yeah, of course he's gonna be nervous, bro. Like, there's all cameras and stuff and everything. For those of you who were with me when I did the Stuart Pearce thing and I introduced Stuart Pearce, or I wasn't even nervous, but my voice on it was like, ladies and gents, Psycho Stuart Pearce. I'm like, what's going on with my voice? So everyone's gonna get nerves at sometimes, right? Okay, so then he went on. So the message for the supporters. And he said, what's your message for the supporters? And he was like, looking forward to meeting them. Hopefully they will get behind me. Hopefully. He didn't say, I expect them to get behind me. Again, it's another kind of subconscious way of inferring that he knows that he has to earn the support of the trust. Now, we all know that even if you're Ange in or out come 12:30 on Saturday, everyone's Ange in because we want to win the game. But again, it just shows that humbleness about him in the way he spoke about it. They then moved on to talk to some of the Australian journalists that were there. He goes, will there be Australian fans that are switching from Spurs to Forest? They feel that there is this kind of Ange following. And he said, again, very humbly, he's proud that they follow him and he'll find out. And he dropped a little joke here. He said he'll find out who the true Ange believers are. Will they stay at Spurs or will they come across to Forest as well? And then when he was kind of found out he was with his mates in Melbourne, they were celebrating his 60th birthday. He was talking about how excited and happy they were for him. And then they talked about like his heritage and how he's kind of come from Australia, found himself in the Premier League. And he said, you know, people think that his career only started at Spurs, like everything else was insignificant, Forest. And he talked about his pride there. And when he gave a message out to, you know, what should young Australians who want to get into football do? He jokingly said, don't be a manager, you know, but and then he went on to be serious about it. He says, doesn't matter where you grew up. If you believe in yourself, you can believe it, you can make it happen. And again, very strong words from him, very strong words from what he said. And then he went on and he did show a little bit of like, confidence in himself because he was asked like Forest have always had to prove themselves since they've been back in the Premier League. I mean, I'm seeing it now in the comments. The second season he'll win the championship trophy and all that. As an underdog, do you need to prove yourself here? He says, I don't need to prove to anything to anyone, as in the externals. He goes, my actions will speak for themselves. So not only is he being humble, he's being firm and believes in his principles as well. And that is good to see and hear as well. And then he was asked again about the play style. And he said, and this, I really like this. He goes, I always try and do things differently. He goes, people as fans don't want to see 20 teams playing the same way. He goes, what would that be? That wouldn't be that interesting to see. He goes, so I want to do things in my own way. I'll bring my styles in gradually and when required. But I'm not going to be a sheep and follow what everyone wants to see and what they want to do. How long was the press of the reviews 5 times? Like, yeah, because we got to dissect it, Paul. We got to dissect it, bro. So that's what he was saying there. By the way, speaking about how long the presser was, right? How long is it going to take us to get to 200 likes? We're on 151 here with 500 of you in here. Please do hit the like. Make sure you're subscribed if you're new. And shout out to all the new Aussies that have joined us on this journey. Thank you all for subscribing as well. Welcome to the family. You're going to find us very welcoming here. So big up to all of you guys. Okay. And then finally, he was asked a bit about Spurs and kind of what went wrong. I know there's a few Spurs fans in there. He said, we weren't prepared last season. We didn't have a good preseason. So I actually, this is what I would take as the negative from what he said. That he didn't have a good preseason, therefore it leaked into there. If we roll that into Forest now, he's had no preseason with Forest and he's joining in a bit of a weird position where it's only 3 games into the season. So this is where 1 second. This is where I think, okay, does a preseason determine his philosophy? Does a preseason determine his philosophy? Right? Because he needs time to embed his tactics, his ethos, his identity into the team. Are we going to have to be patient with Ange in terms of seeing when his style comes into play? But having said that, at the same time, if you look at when he joined Spurs, yes, he had a preseason. I think it was about half a preseason. His first 10 games, he went undefeated in those. So I think we're still in the unknown territory here in terms of how long this is going to take, what's going to happen, how quickly will it happen. And I do think we're going to need a bit of patience with this. I think I said earlier on Never a Foul that, you know what, when it comes to Arsenal, I make no judgments on Postecoglou. Maybe we see him go for Ange ball. Maybe we see him go defensive. Maybe we see him go in the middle. I think that we will start to get a better idea when we're playing Burnley and Sunderland in the next couple of weeks. And I still think that's probably too early. So, you know, we're going to have a little bit of patience. Now, that's easy for me to say it to myself now. But, you know, if I'm seeing us getting tongued by Arsenal, we lose to Burnley or something like that, obviously I'm going to get angry. So, like, we all kind of need to keep each other in check over the next couple of weeks. Okay. So, and then finally on Marinakis, he paid homage to him. He said that he's taken him. I really like this. This on what he said about Marinakis resonated with me a lot. And I never thought about this. He said, look, Marinakis with his money could have gone and bought a London club that was already in the Premier League, that was already established and was an easy business to take over and just maintain rather than build. He said he didn't do that. He decided to take one of the giants of football in Forest, who were where they shouldn't be, took that over, was determined to bring them back to where they should be, and is bringing them back, and they're on this upward trajectory. And he said he loved that he'd taken the club from where they were and has grown it rather than going for an easy route like a London club or a Premier League club. And he said that spoke volumes about Marinakis. And I got to say, again, I agree with him. And I'd never thought about what Marinakis actually did in that paradigm. That he could have, with all of his money, bought a West Ham or whatever. But he decided to go down this route. And that's where kind of the press conference closed. So I expected a very good press conference from Postecoglou. He did not disappoint me. I think he was very open and honest in his thinking and what he had to say. Oh my God, man, the alerts aren't on. Whoops. My bad. Have I missed any super chats or coffees? If you do want to grab me a coffee, you can scan that QR code. Sorry, guys, bear with me 1 second. Don't know why the alerts went off. No, I haven't. Okay, we're all good. So I'm very impressed. I'm not surprised that I'm impressed with Postecoglou's pressers because I used to tune into them as well when he was at Spurs because I found them entertaining and interesting to listen to. Was the Greek father not a Forest fan growing up? Of course he was, man. Everyone was a Forest fan growing up. Anyone in our squad played under him? I can't think of anyone. I don't think so. Big up to Nate, sub, loving the Forest vibe, new Aussie fan. Welcome aboard, bro. We will look after you here. Thank you for subscribing. Okay, Wolfie, he talks about attractive football, but surely if we win ugly and still have success, is that not good enough? 100%, bro. The point I'm making here is how can I explain this? When you're playing like we played under Cooper, we were playing negative and losing. That is completely unacceptable for me. When we played under Nuno, we were playing defensive and winning. Now, did I sit there, enjoy it? As a neutral, Did I ever sit there with mates watching a Forest game, or did my mates ever ask me, yo, let's get together, let's go to the City Ground or watch the game if it's on Sky or whatever. It's a big Forest game, excited to watch them. No, they did not. But we were winning, so I don't care as the fan. Okay? Now, when it started to go bad towards the end of last season, that's where questions start to be asked about Nuno. Okay, have you been found out? Can you change your style? Now, with Postecoglou or managers like Postecoglou, if you're playing attacking football and you're getting the result, then not only are you getting the 3 points, but you're getting the entertainment and you're getting the exciting football. And it's also drawing in new fans. Now, don't undermine the new fans that Forest need. Like, I'm loving how many Aussies, shout out to you Aussies, are taking an interest now in Forest. And this is commercially a brilliant decision by Marinakis. It gives Forest a more worldwide appeal. Now, we are very tribal in our fan base. Let's be honest, okay? We are very tribal in our fan base. If you weren't born in NG2, how can you be a Forest fan? It is the mentality from some fans. Yet my mentality is for Forest 2, and we all want them to challenge and overtake the Cartel 6. Forest need to expand their fan base. And you've got such a passionate fan base in Australia. They love their sports in general. And if Ange is going to be the excuse and reason for them to join, and Forest are going to expand out, and the interest is going to expand out, this is only positive for Forest. So everyone should be welcoming the new fans. I don't want to hear from anyone, oh, these fans are just here because of Ange. Because they will fall in love with the club. And if you don't believe that, then I don't know what drew you to the club. Because once you've had a taste of Forest, be it in the successful times or the painful times, you are drawn in. You are drawn in. The attachment to the heart is there, and it can't be unbroken. So this is what Forest means. However a fan comes to Forest, it doesn't matter. If it's through them liking Ange, if it's through them just liking the logo or the name of the club, or in my case, it was the first football match I remember watching back against Spurs in the FA Cup final. Once you've had that door open and you're attached for life. So please be welcoming of all these new fans that are coming in for Ange, and understand that when they come in, they will be attached to Forest, because they will have that pull on the heartstrings that you and I both had. Okay, so it's really important that we are welcoming to them. So shout out to all the Aussie fans coming in. Okay, so look, that was the presser. That I found it fascinating. Not only are we going to be entertained on the pitch, we're going to be entertained off the pitch as well. So there's plenty to look forward to and be excited about, okay? So I thought it was a very good presser. I thought it was very open and honest. And Celtic as well. And again, you're absolutely right. We can't forget the Celtic fans, right? Because the Celtic fans still have a love and an affiliation to Ange for what he did to them. And it's exactly what Ange said. And that is, one of the key points where he said, once I leave a club, I want to feel like I can be welcomed back. And that's very, very important. Very important. You're not saying it's not just because of the Ola Aina show. You saying it's not just because of the Ola Aina show. Nah, man. It's the draw of Forest. It's the draw of Forest. Okay, so that's the presser. I'll be back. Well, I'm on Pots's at 4:00. We're gonna have some banter on there. Shout out to Skills for subscribing. And then back here at about 5:30. Make sure you tune in, because I want you guys to understand all the perspectives of Ange and how all the fans are feeling about him. So the best thing to do there is listen to what the Spurs fans said. And as I said, I've put together a panel where it's going to be from all perspectives of the spectrum. Those that loved Ange and still want Ange there, and those that were Ange out, etc. And I want you guys to hear their side, and then you get a better feel and understanding of how those fans feel, and more importantly, why they felt that way. Okay, so we'll get that over to you. That will be at about 5:30 tonight, so make sure you're tuned in. All right, I'm going to send you over to Don Hussein, who's talking about the Chelsea 74 charges, those criminals that are Chelsea. Yeah, Sava's going to be on the panel, Chris. Sava will be on the panel. So we will have a look there. Yeah, and I'll probably see if we can set something up for some Celtic fans as well. I think that's not a bad idea either. But there is plenty of content coming in. Shout out to Chris over from Australia. Big up to you as well. Banter aside, I'm liking your channel, bro. But I think the Spurs fans are going to be watching as well. They'll be intrigued to see what he's got to say. So, all right, I'll see you guys at about 5:30, unless you want to tune in over on 12th Man. I'm going to send you over to Sam. Spam in there, criminals. Let's see if he agrees or not. Thank you so much for tuning in. That was The Presser with Ange Postecoglou. We'll see you at about 5:30. Come on, you Reds.